What's up, everybody? Welcome into the CanesInSight Daily podcast. I am Peter Ariz, hosting the show solo today. D-Money out of town for work, but of course, as always, Monday through Friday, and maybe tomorrow morning as well. We've been doing these Saturday shows. We will bring you the latest here on CanesInSight Daily. As always, thank you to Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Remember, take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. So good morning, everybody. We are live from Istanbul, Turkey this morning. Again, big pickup yesterday for the basketball program, Saleh Al-Tuntaj. As the news came out, the post was originally deleted, but it was brought up officially again this morning, just like 10-15 minutes ago. So again, we're here from Istanbul, Turkey this morning. Excited about this pickup. We'll talk more about that later in the show, but wanted to, and guys, get your questions in as well. So it's a solo hosting today, so I want to try to interact with you guys as much as possible. But we'll start on the recruiting side as a target for the Miami Hurricanes on the offensive line. Ryan Moret has set his visit to the Hurricanes, and I'm pulling up the post here from his dad, who you see here, Humberto Moret, the principal at Southridge, where Ryan plays at, and of course is a student at. And 4 official visits have been set, as you guys see here: Nebraska, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and the hometown Hurricanes, who will be getting the final visit there, June 20th to 22nd. So this is a local guy who is a state champ, heavyweight wrestler. We always talk about these offensive linemen, the grip strength, and a lot of the things that come with wrestling that aids these offensive linemen and these interior offensive linemen. He's a center, Moret is. And obviously the class already has one center committed in J.J. Sparks. But this is a prospect in Ryan Moret that intrigues. I know D-Money's a big fan of his down the line, and I am as well, where, listen, offensive line center, you need certain traits, and Moret, to me, has what you're looking for. I think in 2-3 years, this guy could be an absolute monster. And you see him playing defensive line as well. So you see the quick first step there. But no, this guy is a center at the next level. And again, coming on an official visit late June here so really a month from now. And that would be a really nice addition to the class with what you already have on the O-line, which J.J. Sparks being the center committed right now. And actually believe Coach Mirabal was out at his spring practice. I'll pull that picture up here in just a second. But no, man, I think you obviously have a guy in S.J. Alafatula that you bring in as one of the top 2-3 centers in the country last year. They're excited about him, but played a lot of guard in high school. So always a bit of an adjustment, but athletically, power wise, he's got everything that you want there at the position. Nino Francavilla, he's someone who showed some good early returns as a freshman, and I know they're excited about his future. Big center, and a guy who got offered because he had a really strong camp. But you have to, obviously you have Jackson Cantwell in this class already on the offensive line. Brett Collegier is someone that they really would love to add on the interior as well. So you continue to add to this class. You have J.J. Sparks at center that I think kind of caught some people by surprise when he committed, because the name wasn't, we had mentioned him, but it wasn't something where, we knew that commitment was imminent, right? So Moret, again, local kid. We mentioned the wrestling. He's got the strength, and you see in his picture, he's got a baby face, right? So I still think there's growth for him as a prospect and physically, right? So right now, I think he's listed at 6'4", 290 is what 247 has him at. And 247 has him as the number 57 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 79 player in Florida. So he's not a guy who's super highly rated. But of course, when you talk about the evaluations for Coach Mirabal and Cristobal and talking about the background that this guy has athletically, you'd understand why he's a guy that that people are interested in getting. So something popped up on my computer here. I'm trying to there we go, get it off the screen. Got it. So I mentioned that JJ Sparks, the center prospect who's committed to Miami right now. Here he is, posted about an hour ago that, and I'm sorry, I'm looking off to the side here, guys. I'm trying to produce the show and also co-host, or I should say host. But here it is. JJ Sparks posted this an hour ago, so must have been last night. Says, "Thank you, Coach Mirabal, for coming to my spring game. Looking forward to my official visit in a couple weeks." So JJ Sparks there out of Bowles in Jacksonville, big time program. Let me pull up his huddle for you guys real quick here. And again, the guy who's like more of a 3-star prospect, 6'4", 295 is what he's listed at. So you're getting someone, him and Moret would be a similar size, right? And I think that's the size they would typically want at center. SJ Alafatuli being much shorter than that, also testing off the charts from an agility standpoint, weight room wise. He's a beast. I mean, he packs a punch. It's just, you're not getting the same height with him, but either way, he's such an outlier with his athleticism that works. But I think this is more the size that Coach Mirabal and Cristobal would ideally want. Here he is at left guard. You see him finish the play there. You see the power. Love it when the helmet comes off at the end of the play. Here he is at guard again. But you see just throwing guys and then throwing his body on them after the play, which is what you want to see. Bowles, obviously a traditional power. Those guys are going to come in. They should come in ready to go. So look, center and interior linemen, a lot of times these are like any offensive line positions of development. You're betting on the traits, and we see it here with JJ Sparks. A lot of guard from him, so there is a level of adjustment playing the center position, of course. But no, we're excited about this guy for sure, and then Moret potentially here. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting lineup of visits. Some places that I'm sure really, really want him. Nebraska, again, Nebraska starting off this swing here. He's doing them all back to back to back. So not much time for rest for the Moret family there. I know, again, his dad's principal, so gotta squeeze him in here at the end of the school year. But Nebraska, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and Miami as the final visit there. Let me take a look at the comments here, guys, before I get too far into it. Canes 305 says getting the last official visit is huge. I always think that's a big factor for sure. Cannot lose this kid to Georgia Tech. Yeah, that would suck. Play by the rules. Appreciate you as always. And guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Clutch says, if we land him and Cola J, beast O-line. Yeah, really like it. Really, really like it. We need some homegrown talent at center. Can't rely on transfers every year. And look, I wouldn't count out maybe even next season, Ryan Rodriguez potentially being the center. He's got another year eligibility. And I think that's his more natural spot than guard, right? And he came along very strong at guard in fall camp last year, was splitting those reps with Matt McCoy in that Florida game before he got hurt. But he's someone that people were excited about. That injury was pretty nasty. It was pretty bad ankle injury. So he's come back from that. I think he's a potential target or a potential guy who could be your center next year, and he's a local guy, of course. So, Brandon, appreciate you. Yeah, Vaughn. And if you're just joining us right now, D is out of town on work. But as always, just going to bring you guys the latest when it comes to what's going on. And we started the show with Ryan Moret talking now about the center position a bit. Let me continue to go down. And Brandon says, Pete, you in another country? Yes. If you're just joining us, live from Istanbul, Turkey this morning, we're celebrating the signing of Saleh Tuntaj, the Turkish big man that is now a Miami Hurricane. And we're going to get more into that as the Canes officially announced it. They announced it yesterday while we were on the show with Mike Ryan. If you haven't checked that show out from yesterday, go for it. But they then deleted it like 4 or 5 minutes later. From what I had been told, it was nothing wrong with what was posted. It was all factual. It was just needed to tie some things up on the back end. And obviously that was done as it's been put out. And I'm going to find the post here for you guys so we can talk about it later. But as I work through the comments here and then have something else football related, I wanted to get some interesting comments by Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, on Carson Beck. Chris M says, SJ gives me Casey Jones vibes, smaller stature, interior offensive lineman, but dominant. Yeah, man, he's a freak of nature when it comes to the weight room stuff. I think it's just like learning how to snap the ball, because he didn't play all that much center, and it's a whole different thing than just playing guard and getting off the ball. So let's see here what else we got. Lord Baconton talking about the offensive line for next year. He said Tommy Kinsler, Sampson, Ryan Rodriguez will bring some experience for next year. Obviously, we're looking ahead to not this next season, but 2 seasons from now, when you're going to be losing, potentially Francis Mauanoa, potentially Markel Bell, assuming he has a great season like we expect him to. It'll be nice that we've been talking about the McCoys, who McCoy has played, but we're talking about the McCoys, the Kinslers of the world, the Sampsons, and I'm going to keep parroting what I've said a couple times here, and we say a lot. O-line is a position of development. There's a lot to it, right? It's easy to say, wow, this guy, look how big and athletic this guy is, but the nuances that come with it don't just happen overnight. And there's a lot more on their plate. Playing at Miami, there's a lot more on their plate from the mental side of it, from what they're asked to understand across the line of scrimmage with the cross training that they do. Not everyone does it as intensely as Coach Mirabal does it. In terms of, we talk about cross training, can you play every position on the line? And even if they understand, yes, Markel Bell, we don't expect him to ever have to play guard. There is a value to understanding what the guy next to you, what the guy, pretty much across the line, what everyone's assignment is, because then it helps you understand what you're supposed to do within the scheme. Man, it's exciting to think about having guys like that with that much experience, and that's what they're continuing to build with what they're doing and stacking the talent on that offensive line. So wanted to get to this clip. It's going to be a couple minutes clip here from JD Pickles' show with Aaron Murray yesterday, talking about Carson Beck. And look, I'm going to play the comments. We'll talk about it after in a second here. I think it's interesting perspective because Aaron Murray obviously played quarterback at Georgia, and he's someone who, listen, he definitely has sources there, but at the same time, so I don't want to say too much without giving my opinion before he speaks, and I can say it after, but he's someone who's close-ish to the situation when Beck was at Georgia. So I take his comments, I want to hear what he has to say. And I'm going to pull that up right now. Again, this is from JD Pickles' show on On3, and he had Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback and analyst, talking about Carson Beck.
You mentioned Carson Beck, man. Transfers after, flirting with the NFL, declaring for the NFL draft, ends up popping one day that he's going to go to Miami. I think the narrative around him is a little bit warped too. I feel like the time at Georgia for that second season with what we just mentioned, the drops, not being able to run the football. It just didn't feel like a very Georgia-ish team a year ago, and they still won the SEC. Where are you with Carson Beck right now, man, heading into what will be his first year in Coral Gables?
I still think at the end of the day, if Carson was healthy, he probably would have been the number 4 quarterback taken off the board. So you're still talking about, let's go back to Cam Ward a year ago. Cam Ward was projected to be 3rd, 4th quarterback taken in the NFL draft, or 3rd, 4th round in the NFL draft, not 3rd, 4th quarterback, but kind of somewhere that mid round area. Decides to come back, goes to Miami, has the year that he has, is now the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And I'm not saying that there's some correlation that's going to happen that Carson transferred to Miami and he turns around and is going to be the number 1 quarterback pick. But he was projected a year ago at this time to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. So there are already a lot of people very high on his skill set, his size, and what he projects to the next level. Let's talk about 6'5", 230, 235, great arm. Can throw with touch, can throw with anticipation, can push the ball vertically down the field. I think he checks off most of the boxes. I think last year, going back to what we talked about before, at times he was pressing. At times he felt like he had to be Superman. And at times that's what caused the interceptions and the mistakes. He needs to learn to continue to play within himself, play a very mature style of football. And speaking of the word mature, I think that's the biggest red flag for me right now is where is he in the maturity factor? Because you have heard in the locker room at Georgia, there was some disconnect with Carson and his teammates, that there wasn't this guy that was a true locker room guy. And that's why guys kind of rallied around Gunnar Stockton. There's a little bit more belief in him as maybe a person, as just a human being. I'm not saying like Carson is like this, bad, evil person and stay away from him, but there are some possible character flaws that you heard from the locker room. Then you're seeing in the offseason with all the nonsense on TikTok and then the girlfriend stuff. And it's too much mess. It's too much for a guy that's going to be 23, 24 years old. I need you focusing on football. You're on a brand new team. You're coming off an elbow injury. I don't need you in the media other than, hey, man, I'm throwing 5 yards today. I'm throwing 10 yards today. I'm throwing 20 yards today. I'm progressing. I'm learning the playbook. I'm here to lead the Miami Hurricanes to an ACC championship next year. Not TikTok news, girlfriend news. It's like there's a sense of maturity, who he is as a human when it comes to the locker room that is kind of carrying over from Athens now to Coral Gables. That does have me worried a little bit. But from a pure talent standpoint, there is no doubt Carson Beck is a very gifted passer in football. It's going to be interesting to see how healthy he looks and how fast he looks when it comes to health to start the season. And then how well he's built that chemistry with his receivers. It's a brand new receiving core. Miami lost a lot of talent. And yeah, they're still talented, but a brand new quarterback, limited reps, new receivers. It's going to take some time to gel. And, we'll see how long.
All right, so let me bring myself back up here. Sorry, there we go. So I'm back again, live from Istanbul. So a few things, man. I think honestly, the thing that I agree with most that he said was what he said at the end there about the chemistry. That's the biggest question to me. I have no question about the talent in terms of the arm and in terms of talking to NFL people who still, assuming the health is there, right? Still have him as a top, 3 or 4 3-round quarterback, we'll say, because obviously, as D Money mentioned today, once you get past that mid-round range, it'll be really late because he's a high-profile name. But I think the talent is, like I just said, not an issue, and really the locker room stuff. So, look. My reason for saying what I said before and saying that he has an interesting perspective is because he's around, right? He's around Georgia, definitely still talks to people there. And there aren't probably many good things to say about him. He left. Yes, there are sour grapes there that he left. And they can spin the narrative that, the locker room rallied around Stockton all they want, but if Beck was still there, obviously this stuff wouldn't be coming out. I go back to the Jaden Daniels when he left Arizona State, having represented a player who was there at that time, and he wasn't partaking in this stuff necessarily. But seeing the videos coming out of that locker room with players trashing his locker room and his locker and throwing stuff, taking stuff out of there that was still there, right? And basically clowning on him. And we see what has transpired now. Aaron Murray talks about the playing within himself on the football field, right? He talked about the talent, but he said he needed to, protect the football more, play within himself, and play a mature style football. I don't think there's a single quarterback out there who wouldn't say that they don't need to improve on that. I think Cam Ward had way more improvement from that standpoint last year coming into Miami from Washington State with his turnover issues with the fumbles, right? Some of the picks that he threw just on film where he was trying to do too much. But you also have to look at what Carson Beck was dealing with last year with that receiving core, with that run game not being what it normally is at Georgia, the amount of drops that were coming from. So yeah, he probably did feel, and Murray said he felt like he was trying to be Superman out there, trying to do too much. Yes, that tends to happen when you don't trust the receivers around you and you don't trust the skill guys around you, which that tends to happen. So to me, I'm not saying that he doesn't need to tone back on some stuff, but that's what any quarterback needs to do. Then he went from, and that's when he went from a mature style football to then quickly he said, well, and that's what I'm really concerned about. And this is Murray, is the maturity really off the field? This is what kind of annoys me when we talk about the Beck situation and the social media and all that. He himself is not sitting there living on social media, being in a social media world. He was dating someone who, from what I understand, and look, the Cavenders have been great to the University of Miami. This is not going at them. They have a very successful thing going for themselves. I think from what I understand, a lot of what Beck was doing on social media was to appease the situation, right? And appease the girlfriend. I think we've all probably been there, right? And doing stuff that maybe he didn't necessarily want to do. I don't think that's his personality, but you know what? Is that taking away? Is that his focus? No, it wasn't. I just think that was part of the relationship he was in. So that it's very tough for me to blame him for that. If you want to look at the video that came out when she was talking about the relationship too, she's even saying it wasn't even anything about him cheating or anything too. So if you want to go to, well, his mind's in another place, look, you guys can, everyone can assume what they want to assume about the situation. But this to me is a guy who is now coming to Miami, seeing what Cam Ward did last year, reshaping his image. And it wasn't an image thing for Ward, but reshaping the draft stock. And I think once the bullets start flying, once the football gets snapped and he's out there playing, a lot of this stuff goes away. Right. So, yeah, that's kind of my view on it. I'm going to look at the comments here and kind of see, if you guys agree with me or not. But yeah, man, I think once football starts getting played, all this other stuff gets thrown out the window. So yeah, Hassan says all UGA players and fans still upset because Miami takes players that they want, but works both ways. So yeah, I mean, look, this is college football, right? It's a nice little, I gotta say, man, nice little rivalry brewing here between Miami and Georgia, kind of out of nowhere. I thought Miami and Georgia, I feel like had a solid relationship up until the last few years because there was the Mark Richt thing. You know, Canes fans, obviously, we weren't happy with how it ended with Richt, but understanding of the situation and very grateful for the donation to the indoor facility and making Miami serious about football again, right? I think, yes, there was the DS stuff in between was awful and set things back, but people forget what Rick did. So there was that connection there between the Miami and Georgia fans. And now between the Beck stuff and I think Miami fans for months before even the Cantwell stuff have kind of been going back and forth with Georgia fans who don't like Beck very much because of how things ended and him leaving, right? Listen, he was a projected first pick of the draft a year ago, first round pick. So yeah, it kind of, to me, is kind of what happened with Miami fans and Tyler Van Dyke, right? He had the terrible season and all of a sudden it's like, and then he in the media, certain stuff came out with who was it? Luke Fickell last year, where he was, blaming the Miami staff for his downfall and all that. So there eventually became some animosity that came from it, from Miami's fans' point of view. And then obviously TBD, there was the rumors about him maybe entering the portal. So I throw that in there as well. So there was some stuff that happened, but this is the stuff that grows with fan base, and it's funny to see the rivalry now with the Cantwell stuff too. But Hassan, I think you're right, man. I think there's still sour grapes there. Let's see what else here. Let me get to some more of these comments. Yeah, Lord Bagnan says Miami, Georgia this year going for a lot of the same players. Reminds me of Florida last year and Ohio State the 2 years before that. Listen, if you're in recruiting battles with Georgia and Ohio State consistently, it's a good thing. And you're not winning all of them, but you're winning a good amount of them, right? So obviously with Ohio State, you couldn't win that Jeremiah Smith one, but you still, I think, did a really good job there across the board. Derek Huck saying, talking about Beck, I think he came down to Miami and just wanted to focus on ball, lay low, and that might have rubbed his lady the wrong way. Look, I'm not gonna speculate about other people's relationships. That's definitely not something I'm gonna do. But again, I think you can see that's not his personality. If you guys follow him on Instagram, right? And let me pull up his page right now, because the only thing I've seen from him recently on his story is just him playing golf, right? Yeah. So I'm looking at his page right now. He has 4 posts. 2 of them are from Georgia, back 2023, and then January 1st, 2024, in the Orange Bowl, I guess when they played Florida State. Then it's a picture of him playing TPC Sawgrass, which that's wow, man. Very nice pictures here at TPC Sawgrass. And then the picture of him committed to Miami. And he's not someone who's posting on his story around the clock. It just, that's not his personality. So when people say the social media stuff, what, his girlfriend was on social media? Whoopee. Like, I'm sorry, Aaron Murray, if you were playing in this age, you would have a girlfriend who was on social media and was probably posting you in ways that you didn't really want to be posted. That's all I'm going to say. And by the way, again, I like it. Aaron Murray, I honestly, find his analysis good. I think there's ties there that kind of keep him from being completely unbiased about it. But no, man. So that was my thoughts on it, pretty much. Just wrapping that conversation up. And everything I've heard has been solid. I mean, you guys just saw the interview I did with Markel Bell. I asked him about Beck. Said Beck's been he's been rehabbing, right? So a lot of the stuff where players would be, they'd be bonding in team workouts and stuff, just little things like that. Beck has still been having to do his own rehab on the side, pretty much. So it's different, right? But the guys all say he's cool. Like everyone that I talked to, the players I've made, conversation with just on stuff. And I'm not reporting anything crazy here, but just being around, the vibes are good about him, man. It's not, people aren't like, oh man, I don't know what kind of leader this dude is. Like, he's coming from having a successful run at Georgia. That in itself has earned his respect. And it's kind of an unspoken thing, right? He doesn't need to be in there in people's faces telling them what he's done. They watch it on TV. They've seen it the last few years. So yeah, there needs to be improvements, but obviously with a strong O-line, receiving core, we'll see what happens there. If they can be, at the very least, if they can be more reliable than what he had at Georgia, then it's an upgrade going into ACC defenses. The run game is going to be strong. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Coach Dawson kind of schemes up for him. So just wrapping things up here on today's show. Again, appreciate everyone who's been on. No D Money today as he's out of town for work. But we got to talk some basketball. And you see what's behind me here. We're in Turkey, Istanbul. My boy, Saleh Altuntaj. It's official. He's a Miami Hurricane. And we had to wait for it, man. I said it yesterday during the show. The official account had posted it, and now it is out from them again after they had deleted yesterday. Saleh Altuntaj. Here it is, 6'10", 19 years old, and someone who averaged 9.2 rebounds a game, 8.3 or 8.4 points per game in Turkey. And this is a guy who is going to bring in real solid depth in terms of size, right? You have a really nice roster in terms of physicality across the board, ability to defend. Ernest Ude coming over from TCU previously, before that at Kansas. He was a former 5-star recruit. A lot of physicality, a lot of athleticism getting up and down the floor. But I think he's a guy who plays hard. He runs a lot, and he's a big boy. So you're going to need to spell him. And this is a guy in Altuntaj who is going to bring you physicality. He's going to bring you a lot of, offensive rebounding ability to, second chance points, good footwork, and just his strength, man. He's anchoring down there on the post. I'm going to pull up some of his stuff here this is from the under 20 FIBA under 20 European tournament a few months back. And here he is. This is a guy here who physicality has been an issue at Miami the last couple of years, and just sheer size. You go from having Norchad Omir at 6'5", 6'6". Love Norchad, but obviously there are physical limitations. Been a bad fit here, but did not play with this sort of physicality. And this is a guy playing. This is an under 20 tournament, an easy dunk. But look at this. He's around the rim. He has a very, very good hands. Good anticipation. He's going to get a lot of easy buckets. Look at him get himself. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. As someone who plays, I don't want to say similarly, but I'm not the most athletic. So I got to look at him get himself into position here, go right back up with it. No, man, look at him understanding. And D said this yesterday, understanding it's one thing to be big and be physical, but if you don't know how to use your body, and get yourself in position. There it is again. Up. Jay Lucas continues to fill this roster out. Greatness. 305 is going to be good off the bench. I agree, man. He plays with energy and toughness. Coming off the bench, you've got to be able to play with energy and toughness. Obviously, you have Malik Renew at the 4 spot, most likely. So, no, man, I think this is going to be. And then look, it would be pretty crazy, but if you play a team that has some serious size, Ernest Ude, can he maybe, if you're going to play against a two big lineup, does he have the quickness, the agility to stay with a 4-man? I don't know. Maybe you play those guys together. You're going to, to kind of go big on some teams, but I'm very, very excited about his skill set. And yeah, man, we'll see. We had Trenton Breeze said on the board. And again, if you haven't been following this, we posted this name on the board like 2 weeks ago now. Let me see. Was it 2 weeks ago or was it last week? I have to see when the date was. May 5th. No, it was 8 days ago. So it felt like 2 weeks, but that's just because I was so excited about officially adding him to the roster. And I've seen a lot of this about he's on the same roster as Larkin. From what I understand, and it's like soccer, if you guys follow soccer, his parent club loaned him out to, I believe, Istanbulspor this year. So, like, I haven't seen any clips of him playing with Larkin. They may be owned by this, by the same parent club, and they may have played in a couple games together, but none of the stuff I've seen has been there. Whether or not it was Larkin that put the staff onto him, I don't know. I will say that people in Turkey don't seem to be very happy about this because a lot of their young prospects are going to college. Before they could keep them over there, and then essentially, they would, if they wanted to go play in the NBA, they'd be there for a couple of years and then enter in the draft pool. But now with the NIL money and the resources in terms of development, because before they said, well, I'm not going to go play college basketball. I can't get paid. I'd rather just get paid here, play for a couple years, 2-3 years. And then when I'm ready to, go for the draft or just play over here, continue playing over here and become a legend in my home country or whatever. But now that they have this option, they're losing a lot of their top guys to NCAA college teams. A lot of the Turkish people are not happy about it. And basically, so I mean, like maybe Larkin did tell them about it, and I'll get to the bottom of it. But I also don't think that like they're encouraging players to come to Turkey, to come to the U.S. Now, the agencies, they want the best for their guys, right? And they want the best in terms of, they're getting paid over here, and then it's a direct path as well to the draft if you're getting that exposure. And if you'll get found overseas if you're that guy, but you have better opportunities if you're in the college ranks. So I don't think they're necessarily encouraging it. Maybe Larkin had something to do with it, but we'll see, man. And as always, I can't wait. Hopefully he's going to have a jersey here at the Miami Hurricane team store. Your spot to get your gear right across from campus, the official spot. This is the official team store. This benefits everything in terms of the NIL and all of that. Miami Hurricane team store, MiamiHTS.com. See this, the book that's for pre-order, 100 years, 100 games. Wow, I haven't had one of those voice cracks in a while. 100 years, 100 games. You see all the memorabilia. They've got the signed stuff, Ed Reed, Sean Taylor jerseys. Insight 20 gets you 20% off at checkout. Again, the code Insight 20 gets you 20% off. All right, guys. Appreciate everyone for joining me today. I know D-Money was not on here, so I tried to do my best to hold it down for you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.